Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and this is our latest installment of Mobster Monday. So, I've covered Frank Lucas, Nicky Barnes. Oh God, who else did I cover? I've covered a few different ones. So today we're going to start with somebody who is really deemed the founder of the modern mob, and because of it's now baseball season, I really wanted to cover this guy because he's got a history and ties to baseball too. So we are going to talk about the incomparable, historical, and insightful Arnold Rothstein. So Arnold Rothstein was well known through the 20s. Very well known. Never pulled a trigger, but bodies fell in his wake. Never played a game, but changed the course of American sports forever. They called him the Brain, a man who built an empire from the shadows. And the story of Arnold Rothstein, the criminal genius who rigged the World Series and taught the mob how to make real money. So, let's get into it. So, Arnold Rothstein, the man who made the mob, before Capone, before Lucky Luciano, there was Rothstein, the original mastermind. In fact, Capone and Luciano kind of interned under him, like he was a mentor to them. So, Arnold Rothstein was born in 1882. He was the son of a wealthy, devout Jewish businessman, and while his father was known as Abe the Just, Arnold was gambling by the age of 10 and running numbers by 15. Now, how this guy went from being a good Jewish boy to running with criminals, I have no idea. But he wasn't interested in rules, and he was always interested in odds and how to bend them. He saw crime as a business, and he was its CEO. That's the honest-to-God way to describe Arnold Rothstein. So by early 1900s, Rothstein had become a major player in New York's underground. He opened gambling dens, funded drug rings, loaned money to anyone who could turn a profit, including future legends like Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano. Those two were partners. Now, what brought him to light, what put the heat on him, so to speak, he got involved in baseball. So, in 1919, Rothstein orchestrated what's still considered the biggest scandal in American sports, the fixing of the World Series. He paid off 8 Chicago White Sox players, now infamous as the Black Sox, to throw the game against the Cincinnati Reds, all for one reason: to rig the betting lines. Now, at that time, the White Sox were the team to beat because they had won the World Series the year before. So they were just amazing players. In fact, the 8 players who were banned from baseball forever off this team are still considered some of the greatest players of all time. So, very sad that even went down. So, to rig the betting lines, Rothstein reportedly made over $500,000, which in today's time would be like $8 million today. But when the scandal broke, he denied everything. and he never got charged with anything, so he was able to walk away scot-free, clean, and more powerful than ever. Public was outraged, but in the underworld, Rothstein was a legend. Now, this is how he literally changed baseball, because he did rig the World Series, and it changed how they governed the World Series at that point, or how they governed baseball players and the rules. So, let's see. In 1919, America was desperate for distraction, because the First World War had just ended. Prohibition was looming, because Prohibition didn't go into effect until 1920. Baseball was more than just a sport, it was the heartbeat of the country, because you didn't really have professional football at that time, you just had baseball. And now Rothstein saw this as an opportunity, because the Chicago White Sox were the favorite to win the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, because they had won the year before. But behind the scenes, something darker was brewing. 8 players, including the stars of Shoeless Joe Jackson, were approached by gamblers who had Rothstein's money behind them. So Rothstein never officially approached these players. He had people do it on his behalf, but he was still pulling the strings. Let's see. And then the plan was to throw the series. So blow easy plays, miss ground balls, strike out when it counted, all while Rothstein and his associates bet against the Sox and cashed in big. So they were told, the players were told, this was going to be an easy payday, just lose and we walk away richer. Now, you're probably wondering why these players would even consider doing that, considering they were the greatest players to ever really play the game. And that's simply because the man who owned the Chicago White Sox, Art Kaminsky, was a corrupt, cheap man. You had the best players in the league working for you, and he was paying them crap. These guys were working 2 and 3 jobs outside of playing professional baseball so they could feed their families. The salaries these players make today is nothing. I mean, it is unbelievably 25 times more than what these guys were making back then. And it's a shame, because they should have been paid. If they had been paid a decent salary, a livable salary, I don't think you would have seen, this scandal never would have happened. I truly believe that. So, Rothstein kept his distance, and like always, no direct meetings. No paper trail, just money strategically placed through a web of intermediaries. Like I said, this is a line I hear all the time. People were playing checkers while Rothstein was playing chess. It's like you could not match wits for him in these worlds. And over the course of the series, fans started noticing strange behavior. Players stumbling over easy plays, pitchers missing wide. It was obvious. You had players of this caliber making some of the stupidest mistakes you could even see. So, of course, people were like, what's going on? And by game 8, it went to the 8th game. Back then the series used to go to 9. That's another thing that changed. But the fix was obvious. Anyone paying attention, and Rothstein made an estimated $500,000. So when the scandal broke in 1920, America was in shock. Press called it baseball's darkest day. Now, Rothstein denied any involvement, but the 8 players that were banned for life, they were banned, and because they changed over the governing powers of baseball because of this. So they were acquitted in court of any wrongdoing, but the commissioner of baseball banned them for life. Now, we're going to get into that. So, and because Rothstein denied any involvement, there wasn't enough evidence to tie him to the crime. So no charges were filed, and not a single day behind bars, which is typical. And of course, he even said, he denied it. He said, "Gentlemen, I'm a businessman. I don't rig games. I place bets." And he had no problem admitting he was a compulsive gambler. No problem admitting that at all, because he very seldom did he lose. But he says, I didn't rig the game. So, more into how it changed the game. So, back then, there was a commission or a board, and the board actually had 3 people on that. And those 3 people were generally baseball team owners, so they really couldn't be unbiased or anything like that. Because of such a scandal of what happened with the World Series, they went to Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Now, he became Major League Baseball's first commissioner, and he was given absolute power because they wanted him to come in because they felt he was a truthful guy. They wanted him to be part of the board, but he made it clear, he's like, look, I'll come in and I will judge things on baseball, but I have to be the sole governing body. Like, I have to have carte blanche, do whatever the heck I want. This is my thing. So they gave him that. So they got rid of the board of 3 people and had created a 1-person team, which is how the commissioner of baseball came about. So the reason why he banned those 8 players for life, he was trying to make an example of them. And scandal rocked the country. The message was clear. Baseball would be saved at any cost. But again, Rothstein, the guy who started the whole thing, nothing happened to him. So let's get back to where we were. So now that we've got why baseball changed and how we now have a baseball commissioner. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, no one else has been banned from baseball except for Pete Rose. You know, those 8 players, and then Pete Rose got banned back in the 90s, I think it was, which is heartbreaking because, you know, I'm from Cincinnati. I'm a diehard Pete Rose fan. I think it's crap. They should have reinstituted him back in. And even those players from the 1919 Black Sox, I honestly believe they should be allowed into baseball because you have got players today that have committed crimes like domestic violence, assault, all kinds of things. Nothing happens to them. You've got players who are juicing to fix numbers. How is that any different than them taking a payoff to throw a game? In my opinion, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's same as, you know. So that's my little diatribe on Pete Rose and how he should still be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Let's see. Let's get back to where we were. Where is my thing? Okay. So around 1920, when the Prohibition started, this is right around the time when Rothstein started building the modern mob. He funded bootlegging operations. He ran speakeasies. He mentored the next generation of mobsters. Or think of him the Godfather of Godfathers. You know? Rothstein taught us how to run it like a business. That is something that's quoted by Lucky Luciano. He stayed behind the scenes, let others do the dirty work while he profited from their success, a strategy that made him untouchable for a while. So he was the power behind the throne. You had people like Meyer Lansky, like Al Capone, like Lucky Luciano, Bugsy Siegel. These are all people that learned under the tutelage of Arnold Rothstein. And because he played it smart, he's like, yeah, I'll give you all the money you need to fund whatever you're going to do. You're going to give me a piece. But he stayed out. Like, he didn't pull a trigger. He didn't steal from anybody. He didn't have to. He had other people do it for him. But there was no direct ties to him. It was very smart. So, because he stayed behind the scenes and profited from them, he's stayed untouchable for a while. So, in 1928, Rothstein entered a high-stakes poker game. Poker was like his major card game. It's something he just could not turn down. He always won. He was known to win. In fact, he'd been accused of cheating before because he won so on the regular. Well, anyway, at this game, he lost over $300,000. And he claimed the game was rigged, and he refused to pay. So weeks later, on November 4th, 1928, Arnold Rothstein was shot in the gut at Manhattan's Park Central Hotel. On his deathbed, when police asked him who shot him, he replied, "You stick to your trade, I'll stick to mine." Meaning, I was not going to snitch. So he died as he lived, refusing to snitch. So, Arnold Rothstein never held a title, never led a gang, and never needed a gun. But his fingerprints are all over the modern mafia. He showed them that real power wasn't in violence, it was in strategy. And without Rothstein, there's no Luciano, no National Crime Syndicate, and no organized crime as we know it. So he didn't cheat the system, he rewrote it. So if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which crime boss I should cover next. Because in the underworld, every empire is just a beginning. So other than that, that's all I got. But yeah, we've got a guy here who created the modern mafia, changed baseball for the rest of eternity, and never saw a day in jail. So this is Rebecca with Red True Crime. Thank you again for tuning in and watching this video. And Arnold Rothstein is one of my favorites, but you know, makes me wonder what led him down this path, considering he came from money, but who knows. But again, like I said, subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. And if you like this, I got others. And as I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe, because when you're weird and rude, they will not take you, I guarantee it. So have a great day, everybody. Again, thank you. Bye.